My name is Rachel, and I live with my husband in a big, comfortable house. We have a son named Tyler, who grew up and moved out a few years ago. When he first left, I felt sad and a bit lonely, as the house seemed quieter and emptier without him. But over time, I got used to it, even though I still feel happy whenever he calls and says he's coming home for a visit. Those calls bring warmth and joy to my day, and I look forward to every visit. One day, Tyler called and told us he'd be visiting soon. But this time, he mentioned he was bringing someone special with him, someone he wanted us to meet. My husband and I were thrilled, guessing that maybe this was someone important to him. We were curious and excited, wondering who this special someone's could be. Before noon, Tyler arrived, and with him was a lovely young woman. As they walked in, I felt a mix of happiness and surprise. I had a little hint from what Tyler had said on the phone, but I didn't truly expect him to bring someone home so soon. Tyler looked so proud and happy as he introduced her to us. He said with a big smile, "Mom, Dad, this is Anna. Isn't she wonderful? She's my wife." For a moment, I was completely shocked. I just stood there, trying to process what he'd just said. "Your wife?" I finally managed to ask, still in disbelief. "Did you say Anna is your wife, not your girlfriend?" Tyler laughed and nodded, joking that maybe I was going a bit deaf. I tried to smile, but I felt confused. I didn't hear anything about you getting married," I said. Turning to my husband, I asked, "Did you know about this?" He shook his head, looking just as puzzled as I was. Neither of us had heard anything about a wedding. Tyler seemed amused by our confusion and proudly explained, "That's why we're here. We wanted to tell you in person. We registered our marriage today. Oh, and by the way, we had a big wedding in Hawaii with all our friends." My husband and I were stunned, too surprised to speak. Tyler went on, talking about how amazing the wedding was and how much fun they had in Hawaii. Feeling a little hurt, I finally asked, "So you already registered your marriage and had the wedding? Why didn't you invite us?" I tried to keep my voice calm, but inside, I felt a wave of disappointment. At this point, Anna, who had been quiet, finally spoke. She looked at me and asked, "Do we really need to invite strangers?" Her words caught me off guard. I didn't know how to respond. Then she continued, saying, "Isn't it just a waste of money?" Her casual tone made my heart sink. I couldn't keep my feelings in any longer. I replied, "No, we're not strangers. We're Tyler's parents," I said, my voice shaking a little. Anna looked at me with an unhappy expression and said, "But you're strangers to me." Her words hit me hard, and I didn't know how to respond. For a moment, I just stood there, feeling stunned and silent. It seemed like my son finally noticed the tension in the room. He quickly stepped in to explain, "Anna doesn't have parents or siblings. She would have felt sad being the only one without family at the wedding. That's why I didn't invite you." Hearing about Anna's situation made me pause and think. I could understand how hard it must have been for her to feel alone on such a special day. I still felt a little hurt, but I realized the wedding was already done, and there wasn't much I could do to change it. After Tyler and Anna left, I talked to my husband about my feelings. I shared my worries, saying, "I wonder if they'll be okay. It seems so complicated already." My husband nodded, sharing my concerns, but he said, "It's their decision, and they're already married. All we can do now is stand by and support them from a distance." Although I knew he was right, I felt like I needed to do more to connect with Anna. I wanted her to feel like part of our family. So I decided to reach out and try to build a relationship with her. I got Anna's phone number from my son and gave her a call. As soon as she realized it was me, her tone turned cold. "What do you want?" she asked bluntly. I tried to keep the conversation light and explained I got some delicious treats, and I thought I'd bring them over to you sometime. But Anna replied, "Oh, I don't need that. I don't even plan to give you my address." Surprised, I asked her why. She replied calmly, "I don't want to share personal information with strangers. Please delete my phone number." Before I could say anything else, she hung up. I felt a pang of sadness, but understood that my attempt to reach out had made her uncomfortable. I shared my feelings with my husband, who comforted me saying, "There's still time. Don't rush it. Forcing a close relationship might not work. Let's just hope she'll open her heart to us one day." I took a deep breath and nodded, knowing he was probably right. About a month later, I stopped trying to contact my son and Anna, thinking maybe they just needed space. Then, out of the blue, my son called me. Surprised, I asked him what was going on, and he told me that Anna was pregnant. Hearing this news filled me with joy, and I was thrilled for both of them. Knowing how tough it can be for a first-time mother without her family, I offered to come over and help. I asked my son for their address, but he replied, "I can't give you the address. We don't need help, just money. Give me your bank account number, and I'll transfer it." His response left me feeling both hurt and confused. I had hoped to be there for them, to help and support them as family, but it seemed that they didn't want that from me. Still, I reminded myself of what my husband had said. Sometimes you have to be patient and let things unfold in their own time. I tried to explain to my son that childbirth could be hard and new mothers often need a lot of support. But he didn't want to hear it. He told me Anna didn't want any help from us either. So, in the end, I did as he asked and sent only the money. After that, I didn't hear from him again. Not even a message when the baby was born. A whole year went by, and I tried to call several times, hoping to reconnect, but my calls went unanswered. Eventually, it felt like my son no longer saw us as family. There was nothing I could do to change that, no way to reach him. Feeling sad and helpless, I tried to distract myself by sticking to my usual routine. One day, I went to the local supermarket to pick up a few things. As I walked down an aisle, I saw a familiar face. At first, I couldn't quite place him, but then he looked my way and called out, "Mrs. Alexander." It's been a long time. Surprised, I turned to look at him. When he said his name, "I'm Jerry Jones," memories rushed back. Jerry was one of my son's close friends in high school, someone who used to come over often. I hadn't recognized him at first because I still pictured him as a teenager. But now here he was, all grown up. "Jerry, you've grown up so well," I said, smiling warmly at him. He seemed pleased but a little shy. Then I noticed a young woman standing beside him. She was wearing a ring that matched Jerry's, and her belly was clearly pregnant. I gasped, covering my mouth with my hand. "Oh my," I said, surprised and happy for him. Jerry nodded, looking a bit shy. "This is my wife, Laura. Our baby is due in about 3 months. I turned to Laura and congratulated her. "Congratulations, Laura. That's wonderful news." Laura looked a bit surprised at first, but then she smiled and thanked me warmly. We chatted a little, sharing small talk and happy wishes, but I didn't want to take up too much of their time. After a short chat, we said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. 4 months later, I received an email from Jerry. We had exchanged contact information during our meeting because he mentioned he'd let me know when the baby arrived. Now, here it was, a message announcing the birth of their baby. Attached was a photo of their beautiful newborn. As I looked at the picture, my heart swelled with happiness for Jerry and Laura, but it also brought up a bittersweet feeling. I couldn't help but wonder what my own grandchild looked like and wished that I had a photo like this of my son's baby. I wrote back, congratulating Jerry and offering to send a small gift to celebrate. I wanted to share in their joy, even in a small way. Not long after, Jerry called me, sounding flustered but happy. We chatted for a while, and he thanked me for my kindness. Though it wasn't the same as holding my own grandchild, being a part of Jerry's joy gave me some comfort. I realized that sometimes family doesn't come exactly how you expect it, but you can still find warmth and connection in the people who stay close. "I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable, so please don't worry," I told Jerry with a gentle chuckle, sensing his apologetic tone. "It's just that I'd love to celebrate since I can't do anything for my own grandchild." There was a pause on the other end of the call. Then, Jerry asked quietly, "Something happened with Tyler, didn't it?" I stayed silent, not sure what to say. After a moment, Jerry continued, revealing a surprising story. He told me that Laura, his wife, was actually Tyler's girlfriend first. Tyler had left Laura without much thought, moving on quickly to be with Anna, the woman he would later marry. Laura had been heartbroken when Tyler ended things with her, but Jerry was there to support her. I tried talking to Tyler, Jerry explained, to get him to do the right thing, but he just wouldn't listen. Eventually, I decided it was best to end our friendship. I didn't feel right staying friends after seeing how much he hurt Laura. Jerry's story ended, leaving me in shock. I felt a mixture of sadness, disappointment, and even anger toward my son and Anna. In that moment, I also realized that, without knowing, I might have reminded Laura of her painful past by reaching out to her and asking to celebrate the birth of her child. It was clear now that she might not have wanted any contact with Tyler's family. "I'm really sorry, Jerry. I didn't mean to bring up old memories or cause any pain. I just wanted to be happy for you both," I said, feeling a bit guilty. Jerry quickly reassured me. "No, please don't apologize, Mrs. Ryan. It's really okay. Laura was actually the one who wanted to send you the baby's photo. She doesn't hold anything against you. Please don't worry about it." His kind words made me feel both grateful and a little guilty. Jerry then added, "I just don't want Laura to have to deal with Tyler and Anna ever again. That chapter is over for us." I agreed completely. I promised Jerry that I would respect his wishes and keep a healthy distance. We talked a little longer, moving to lighter topics, and then ended the call. Afterward, I shared everything Jerry had told me with my husband. I told him that from now on, I would consider Tyler and his family as strangers. If they didn't want us in their lives, I'd respect that. But I also felt like our trust in them had been broken. My husband nodded, understanding my decision. "Maybe it's best to give ourselves a break from all of this," he said quietly. That night, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. On one hand, I was heartbroken over the distance that had grown between us and our son. But on the other hand, I was glad to know people like Jerry and Laura who showed kindness even after facing hard times. I decided that, even if I couldn't be part of my son's life, I would keep in touch with Jerry and Laura. They were people who valued family and kindness, and I hoped that in some small way, I could still share in their joy. I looked around our new home, satisfied that most of the unpacking was done. This is where our new life begins, I thought to myself. Our old house had started to feel too big for just my husband and me, so when we found this new, cozy high-rise condo, we knew it was time for a change. We had thought about telling our son, Tyler, about the move, but in the end, we decided against it. Later, I went out to pick up some groceries for dinner. As I stepped out the door, I heard a voice call, "Mom." I turned around, surprised, and saw Tyler walking toward me with a small smile. "Why didn't you tell me you moved?" he asked. "I went to the old house and found strangers living there. I had to search a lot to find you." His words were calm, but there was an edge of frustration in his tone. I looked at him seriously and said, "I didn't need to tell you, Tyler. You're a stranger to me now." My words seemed to shock him. His face showed confusion and discomfort. "What do you mean, Mom?" "I'm your son," he said, trying to act as if nothing had happened. Ignoring his words, I continued walking, but he quickly followed and tried to keep talking to me. "Mom, I want to apologize for everything. I realize now that I was misled by Anna," he said, trying to justify himself. "You must have some extra money if you're living in a new high-rise condo, right?" I kept walking without saying a word, but he continued, his tone becoming more desperate. "Anna lied to me about everything. She said she had no family, but the truth is her parents disowned her after she got involved in some scandal at work. I was tricked, and now she's constantly asking me for money since she lost her job." I glanced over at him briefly. He mistook my silence as interest, so he kept going, venting his frustrations. Anna couldn't manage on her own and kept coming to me for help. "I was deceived, Mom. I should be able to stay in a nice condo, like yours too." At that, I stopped and turned to face him. Tyler looked hopeful, maybe thinking I was finally ready to listen. But I held his gaze firmly and said, "You chose Anna, knowing she wasn't honest, and while you were still with someone else. This is the life you chose, Tyler, and now you're dealing with the results of your choices." Tyler's face fell as my words sank in. He looked stunned, perhaps realizing I wasn't about to welcome him back. "Your only family now is Anna," I told him. The two of you are well matched for each other." With that, I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there. Afterward, I felt a strange sense of calm. But I was also concerned that Tyler might try to interfere with Jerry and Laura, given his recent behavior. So I reached out to Jerry to let him know what had happened. I wanted him to be aware, in case Tyler showed up and caused trouble. Talking with Jerry brought me comfort. It reminded me that I still had connections with people who valued honesty and kindness. I realized that while Tyler might have distanced himself from us, there were still people who cared about us, and I would focus on nurturing those bonds. I worried that Tyler might have tried to apologize to Laura and asked Jerry to help bring us together. Tyler even made strange comments, like suggesting they got married because of him. Jerry, completely fed up, decided to cut ties with Tyler. He even warned that he'd call the police if Tyler kept bothering them. This seemed to scare Tyler off, and he stopped bothering them. But Tyler didn't stop there. He tried to spread rumors about Jerry and Laura among their mutual friends, hoping to damage their reputation. However, this only backfired. People saw through his actions and turned away from him. Even Anna, who was supposed to be his only support, eventually left him. She ran off with another man after spending all of Tyler's money, leaving their child behind. As things got worse for him, my husband and I chose not to get involved. We kept hearing about the troubles he faced, but we decided it was best to stay out of it. Eventually, though, Tyler showed up at our door, holding his child in his arms. He looked desperate as he pleaded, "You must feel sorry for your grandchild, right? Let us stay here." My husband, who had stayed quiet all this time, finally lost his patience. He burst out, "Don't be ridiculous. Stop acting like a spoiled child. You're no longer our son. You're a stranger. Get out." Tyler, stunned and frightened, ran off, but he left the child behind. As Tyler disappeared down the street, my husband quickly locked the door. I gently picked up the child, who was completely unaware of what had just happened. The little one looked up at my husband and smiled, reaching out a tiny hand. Seeing that innocent smile, my husband and I shared a look, coming to the same thought. We both knew that while we couldn't forgive Tyler and Anna, this child had done nothing wrong. With a silent nod, we decided we would raise our grandchild ourselves. It wasn't an easy choice, but it felt right. We heard that Tyler had taken on a tough, low-paying job, likely doing physical labor he didn't enjoy. Even though he was struggling, he hadn't tried to come back to us. And even if he did, our answer would remain the same. Now, my husband and I are fully focused on caring for our grandchild. Raising a child at our age is not without its challenges, but the child's smile gives us energy and purpose each day. For the tasks that are a bit too much for us, we are lucky to have the support of Jerry and Laura, who generously help whenever they can. We're deeply grateful for their kindness. Our dreams of a quiet, relaxed retirement may have to wait a little longer, but that's okay. Right now, we just want to enjoy this time together as a family. Watching our grandchild grow and smile fills our days with joy, and in those moments, we feel that this path, though unexpected, is a blessing.